"What do you mean she charged you double for the same haircut I got last week?" That sentence stopped Hudson O'Neal mid-step as he was walking past the front desk of his company's 6th Salon location, tucked into a busy strip mall just outside Dallas. He wasn't supposed to be there. In fact, no one knew he was the CEO, not the clients, not the stylists, not even the manager. He was just Hugh, the new trainee sweeping floors and folding towels. Hudson had inherited the salon chain from his mother 2 years ago after she passed. She'd built it from one small shop into 7, all in Texas. But lately, something had shifted. Reviews were slipping. Complaints were popping up about certain locations. The district manager swore it was just young staff not used to stress. That wasn't good enough for Hudson. So he put on a baggy black hoodie, swapped his usual loafers for beat-up sneakers, trimmed his beard, and applied for a front desk trainee role under a fake name. The manager of this location, Cassie, had never met him before. In fact, none of the employees had ever seen the CEO in person. Hudson had only visited 3 of the 7 shops since taking over. He picked this location based on a gut feeling. It wasn't the worst rated, but something about the way the manager dodged questions during check-ins didn't sit right with him. And now, on day 3 of working incognito, sweeping hair silently behind the counter, he heard that sentence from a woman at the register. Her tone wasn't angry, just confused. "I'm sorry, ma'am," said the receptionist, a nervous-looking girl who couldn't have been older than 20. "Let me check your receipt." Hudson leaned the broom against the back wall and stepped softly closer, pretending to be tidying up the shelf behind the desk. "It says here you were charged for a platinum premium style with Amanda," the girl said, squinting. "That's $85. The customer blinked. "That's not what I asked for. I got a trim and a blowout, same thing as last time." The receptionist looked helpless. "Let me get the manager." Cassie strutted out from the back with a forced smile. "Hi, what's the issue?" Hudson watched closely. This was the 3rd time today he'd seen Cassie deflect problems. She was all smiles with customers, but snapped at staff behind the scenes. Earlier, she told the shampoo girl to stop gossiping and move faster, just because the girl asked for help with a clogged sink. "She charged me for something I didn't ask for," the customer said, glancing toward the stylist station where a tall blonde named Amanda was laughing with another stylist. Cassie didn't even look at the receipt. "Amanda only charges based on service. If she put you down for that, it's because that's what you received." "I didn't," the woman said quietly. "I don't want to make a scene, I just want to pay the right amount." Cassie's smile tightened. "I understand, but we trust our stylist's judgment." That's when Hudson stepped in. "Excuse me," he said, voice calm. "I was standing near Amanda's chair. I remember you asking for a standard cut and blowout. She didn't mention any premium service." The customer looked relieved. Cassie turned sharply toward him. "You're just a trainee," she snapped. "Stay out of this." Hudson didn't react. He simply nodded toward the woman. "She deserves to pay for what she asked for, that's all." Cassie looked ready to argue, but the customer had already pulled out her card and said, "Can you just charge me what I paid last time?" $70. The receptionist quickly adjusted the price. The woman thanked Hudson quietly before leaving. Cassie turned on him. "You don't speak to customers about charges. That's not your place." "I'm sorry," Hudson said. "Just trying to help." She walked off, muttering. Later that day, he caught Amanda doing it again, this time to a teenage girl who looked nervous and kept glancing at her mom, who was waiting outside. Amanda described a signature treatment that the girl hadn't asked for, then tacked on an extra $30. Hudson's stomach turned. At break, he sat at the back with Olivia Hartley, a quiet stylist with short, curly hair and tired eyes. She'd been kind to him since day one, showing him how to clean the brushes properly and reminding him to grab spare towels before the rush. "Does Amanda always charge people like that?" he asked. Olivia hesitated. "I try to stay out of it," she said. "But yeah, it happens a lot. She says she upsells to make commission." "Does management know?" Olivia looked at the door to the back office. "Cassie does. Amanda brings in the most money, so." Hudson nodded, but inside he was boiling. It wasn't just about the money, it was about trust. As he swept up hair near Amanda's station later, she whispered to him, Maybe if you spend less time eavesdropping and more time cleaning, you'll last longer here." He didn't answer, but that night he sat in his car gripping the steering wheel. His mother had built this business on honesty and care, and now he was watching it rot from the inside. Tomorrow, he'd dig deeper. Because if Amanda had been doing this for months, how many clients had been taken advantage of, and how many good workers like Olivia were being ignored? The overhead fluorescents buzzed faintly as Hudson walked in early the next morning, still in disguise. He was 30 minutes ahead of schedule, but he needed time alone in the shop before anyone else arrived. The place always felt different when empty, quiet, honest. He went to the back office and stared at the employee schedule pinned to the corkboard. Amanda was working a double. Cassie wasn't scheduled until noon. Olivia had the opening shift, along with a junior stylist named Lacey and one of the shampoo assistants, Ruth. Hudson took a photo of the schedule on his burner phone, then sat in the break room pretending to scroll through a training manual when Olivia came in, carrying a paper bag and a tired look. "Morning," she said, setting her lunch in the fridge. "You open often?" Hudson asked without looking up. 3 days a week. I live close, so it's easier than fighting traffic." Hudson nodded. "You ever get time to actually cut hair in peace? This place gets slammed." Olivia leaned against the counter. "When Cassie's not around, yeah. She books Amanda back-to-back and then dumps walk-ins on whoever's left. Ruth's been pulling overtime just to keep up with prep." As if on cue, Ruth entered, her uniform top still damp around the collar. She looked exhausted. "Elevator broke again," she muttered, dropping her bag on the floor. "You walked up?" Olivia asked. "4 flights, Ruth said, breathing hard. "Someone locked the back stairs again." Hudson looked up. "That's a fire hazard." "Tell that to management," Ruth said, rubbing her shoulder. Hudson didn't answer, but inside something clicked. Locked stairwells, overloaded staff, and a manager who prioritized revenue over safety. That wasn't just bad leadership, that was liability. By 10, the salon buzzed with energy. Hairdryers roared, phones rang, and the scent of hairspray hung thick in the air. Amanda arrived late, barely offering a nod to anyone before disappearing into her station. She wore designer sneakers and a fresh blowout clearly not styled by anyone here. Hudson busied himself folding towels, but kept an eye on her. Her first client, a young woman in business attire, sat nervously while Amanda chatted on her phone before starting. 20 minutes in, Amanda applied a product without asking. The client flinched. "What's that?" the woman asked. "Keratin gloss. Don't worry, it's premium." "You'll love it." The woman opened her mouth to protest, but Amanda was already brushing it through her hair, talking over the question. The receptionist, watching from the front, looked unsure but didn't intervene. Later, as Hudson ran clean brushes into the back, he overheard Amanda in the hallway near the break room. "I don't care what she asked for. I charge what I charge. If they don't want quality, they can go to Supercuts." It wasn't just arrogance, it was entitlement. And she wasn't even trying to hide it. He returned to sweeping just in time to see a walk-in client approach the counter. She was in her mid-60s, with carefully pinned hair and a floral blouse that looked ironed by hand. She smiled politely and asked for a basic trim. The receptionist hesitated. "We're a little backed up. It might be a 45-minute wait." Hudson glanced at the schedule. Amanda had a gap. Olivia was finishing up. Lacey's chair was empty. He stepped forward. "Actually, Lacey's free in 5. I'll let her know." The receptionist looked relieved. "Thanks, Hugh." As he walked back, Olivia caught up to him. "You're not supposed to do that," she said under her breath. "Cassie hates when we offer discounts or work-ins without her approval. She's not here." "Exactly." Hudson paused. "Is that how it works now? We just let people walk out the door?" Olivia didn't answer. She just returned to her station and started cleaning. Midday, Cassie arrived. She breezed through the door in a tight black blazer, sunglasses still on, and immediately began correcting the thermostat, the music volume, and the front desk's product display. "Why is Lacey taking a walk-in?" she asked, frowning at the register. "She had a gap," the receptionist said quickly. Hugh checked the schedule. Cassie turned to Hudson. "You don't make schedule decisions. You're here to sweep, not manage." "I saw an open slot," he said evenly. "Didn't want to lose the client." Cassie's tone sharpened. "This isn't your call. Next time, check with me. Understood, he nodded, but said nothing more. At lunch, as employees filtered in and out of the break room, Hudson sat beside Ruth, who was massaging her wrist. You all right? He asked. Fine, she said. Just been shampooing nonstop. Amanda keeps requesting me for every client. She tip you out, Ruth laughed under her breath. She says she does, but I haven't seen it in weeks. Hudson leaned back. You ever bring it up? I did once. She told me if I wanted extra money, I should work faster. That was enough. Hudson stood and walked out to the main floor. Amanda was at her station, scrolling through her phone while her next client waited in the chair, cape already on. Hey, Hudson said, keeping his voice neutral. You've got someone waiting. She can wait, Amanda said without looking up. I need 5. Hudson turned to the client. Can I get you water? Coffee, the woman smiled faintly. Water would be great. As he walked to the back, he passed Olivia, who gave him a quiet nod of thanks. Cassie called a staff meeting at 4, gathering everyone near the front. Important update, she said, arms crossed. Starting next week, we'll be adjusting the commission structure. High-performing stylists will receive a larger share. That means Amanda, for example, will now earn priority scheduling and first pick on premium clients. Murmurs spread. Olivia looked down. Lacey blinked in confusion. Any questions? Cassie asked. Hudson raised a hand. What about assistants like Ruth? Are they getting an increase too? Cassie's eyes narrowed. Assistants aren't commission-based, they're hourly, but they support the stylists. If Amanda's workload increases, she can request more help, Cassie said, cutting him off. Anything else? No one spoke. After the meeting, Amanda passed Olivia and muttered, should have gone to beauty school somewhere better. Maybe then you'd get premium clients too. Olivia didn't respond, but her hands trembled slightly as she tied her apron. Hudson had seen enough. He waited until the last client left. Then he stepped into the center of the floor and said, Everyone, can I have a minute? The room quieted. He pulled off his hoodie and reached into his back pocket, producing his ID. I'm Hudson O'Neal, CEO of this company, gasps. The receptionist's eyes widened. Olivia froze. Amanda stood up slowly, face pale. I came here undercover because I've been hearing things that didn't make sense. What I saw confirmed every concern I had. He turned to Amanda. You've overcharged clients, used unauthorized treatments without consent, and failed to tip out support staff. You're done here. Effective immediately. Amanda opened her mouth, but he didn't give her the chance. Leave your station clean. Ruth will escort you out, he faced Cassie. You knew about this. You let it go on. You ignored fire code violations, overloaded your team, and prioritized commissions over client care. You're terminated today. Silence. Cassie looked stunned. You can't just, I can, Hudson said, and I just did. He turned to the rest of the staff. No one here should be afraid to do their job with integrity. That ends now. Olivia, you're acting lead until we bring in a new manager. Pay adjustments will be reviewed this week. Ruth, you'll receive back pay for the weeks Amanda skipped out. He looked around the room. If any of you have things to say, concerns, ideas, my office is open, not in theory, in practice. He walked toward the door, then paused, and one more thing, we don't lock stairwells. Ever? He left without another word. Behind him, the silence broke first with a breath, then with the sound of people finally, freely talking. Rain tapped against the shop's front windows in slow rhythm, softening the usual afternoon noise. The salon felt quieter without Amanda's voice cutting through the space or Cassie's constant pacing, but the tension hadn't lifted completely. Olivia stood behind the counter, staring at a sticky note scribbled with appointment changes. Across from her, Ruth sorted capes with sluggish movements, her shoulders hunched like she expected a new blow to fall any second. Hudson leaned against the break room doorway, watching. He hadn't left the location after the reveal. Not yet. He didn't want to. Something about the atmosphere gnawed at him. It wasn't just relief or shock anymore. It was uncertainty. Power had shifted, but no one quite knew what to do with it. Why don't we pause walk-ins for today? He said, stepping into the main floor. Let's finish the appointments already booked, then close 2 hours early. Olivia looked up. We've never closed early. You have today, he said. Everyone's been on edge. Let's reset. Ruth glanced toward the door. What about the evening clients? I'll cover the cancellation fees personally, Hudson said. They'll get a full rebook credit and a voucher for next time. Just let me know who needs what. No one argued. By 5, the last client had left. Hudson helped Lacey wipe down the chairs. She kept glancing at him like she was trying to figure out where the lines were now. You said you're the CEO, she said. But why come here? Why not just, send someone? Because I trusted the wrong people, he said, wringing out a towel. And the ones doing the work deserve to be seen. She nodded, then narrowed her eyes slightly. Are all the salons like this? No, he said, but I don't know enough to say which ones are close. That's going to change. In the back room, Olivia sat at a table, phone in hand, not scrolling. Just holding it. You all right? Hudson asked. She didn't answer immediately. Then, I've worked here 5 years. We used to have staff meetings where we talked about what clients liked, how to improve things. Then Cassie came in and it all flipped. What changed first? She started changing the rotation, Olivia said. The same people got all the good slots. Others were told to build up their clientele but weren't given the same chances. Ruth got assigned to Amanda's clients every day, even though she asked to rotate. Hudson sat across from her. Why didn't anyone escalate it? Because no one above her ever showed up, she said. And when we did call corporate, it went straight to Cassie or the district manager, who backed her up. He nodded slowly. That ends now. I'm restructuring the reporting process. From now on, team leads from each store will have a direct line to my office, real oversight, not just a suggestion box. She raised an eyebrow. You're going to do that for all 7 stores. I'll do it for 70 if I have to. She tilted her head. You really didn't know it had gotten this bad. No, he said, but I should have. Before she could respond, the front bell rang a sharp, unexpected chime. Ruth peeked out from the hallway. It's a walk-in. Said she's here for a consultation. Hudson frowned. We closed early. She says she was referred by Amanda, said she was told she'd get a slot no matter what. Hudson stood. Tell her I'll speak with her. The woman waiting inside was in her late 20s, dressed in a high-end tracksuit and holding her phone like it was a microphone. Is Amanda working today? She asked without making eye contact. She told me to ask for her directly. She no longer works here, Hudson said. The woman blinked, then looked him over. Are you the manager? I own the company, she straightened. Okay. Well, Amanda said I'd get the loyalty rate. I've been coming to her for months. Let me look up your client file. He walked to the front desk, tapped into the system, and searched her number. Nothing. You're not in our system, he said. She leaned over the counter. She always took cash. There it was. Unrecorded services, off-the-books transactions, revenue slipping through the cracks. Thank you for confirming, he said calmly. Amanda no longer represents this business. If you'd like a consultation with one of our licensed stylists, we can book you properly. But not today, we're closed. She scoffed and walked out without another word. Hudson turned back to Olivia. How long do you think that's been going on? Hard to say, she replied. Amanda had her own rules. He walked to the back and pulled out a binder from the locked cabinet labeled Client Logs. It was meant to be a backup for digital records in case of system outages. Flipping through the past 3 months, he found page after page with Amanda's initials, but several client names were missing receipts or signatures, no payment logged. He held the binder out to Olivia. Were these ever audited? Cassie said it wasn't necessary. Amanda kept her own ledger. It was unofficial. Hudson rubbed his temples. She was running her own business inside mine. That night he stayed. After everyone left, he pulled a stool to the front window and opened his laptop. He drafted emails to HR and legal, outlining the need for a full forensic audit of the salon's records. He listed every instance of ghost client logs, unregistered cash payments, and the manipulation of commission data. Names, dates, inconsistencies. He attached photos of the logbook, time cards, and the broken staff rotation schedule. By midnight, he was still typing. The next morning, he met the district manager in the back parking lot. The man, in his 40s, wore an expensive coat and carried a clipboard. You called me out here, he asked. Yes, Hudson said. You're being investigated for negligence of oversight. You authorized bonuses for Cassie and Amanda without verifying numbers. You ignored staff complaints. You're suspended until the internal review is complete. The man's face flushed. Is this about that one location? It's about what that one location revealed, Hudson said. You can leave now, HR will follow up. He didn't wait for a reply. Back inside, he gathered the remaining staff. Today's going to be different, he said. We're open, but we're going to run things the right way. Olivia, you'll lead the floor. Lacey, you're moving up to a full stylist schedule, no more standbys. Ruth, you're getting a rotating assistant calendar. No one's tied to one chair anymore. He handed them a new printout of the week's schedule, adjusted to reflect the changes. And this Saturday, he added, we're closing early again. Mandatory half-day for training followed by a team dinner. On me. Ruth looked up. Wait, training. We're rebuilding the culture. That starts with knowing each other's work, not just surviving shifts. No one spoke for a moment. Then Olivia said, You're not leaving, are you? I will, he said. But not until this place runs how it should. Ruth folded a towel and smiled for the first time in days. Then I guess I'll stay too. Hudson looked around. No more backroom deals, no more silence, just people finally being heard, and that he thought was how his mother would have wanted it. 3 weeks passed. The salon had quieted in a way Hudson hadn't expected. Not less busy appointments had actually gone up, but the undercurrent of tension, the constant low hum of fear and competition, was gone. Stylists moved with more purpose, more care. The front desk ran tighter, focused. Clients lingered longer after their appointments, chatting, not rushing out with clipped expressions. Hudson didn't come in every day now, just once or twice a week, unannounced, never in disguise. He spent the rest of his time restructuring oversight at the corporate level. Working with a compliance officer he hired independently from the district manager's old network. The audit had already revealed falsified commission reports at 2 other locations, and disciplinary action was underway. But for now, his focus remained anchored to the shop where everything had unraveled. On a gray Wednesday morning, he arrived just before opening, carrying 2 cardboard trays filled with coffee and tea. When he pushed through the door, Olivia was already wiping down her station, hair tied back, sleeves rolled up. You're early, she said, glancing at the clock. You are too, he replied, setting the drinks on the breakroom table. I had a feeling you might show up. She pulled her stool out, sat down, and eyed one of the cups. Chamomile, upper tray left side, no sugar. She grabbed it and took a sip without another word. New stylist starts Friday, Hudson said, leaning against the counter. Transferred from the Grapevine branch. Her name's Jaina. Strong reviews, good retention. Olivia nodded. That'll help. Ruth's been covering more than she should. She told me. I offered her extra hours. She asked for alternate weekends off instead. That's Ruth, Olivia said. She doesn't want more, she wants fair. Hudson folded his arms. She's getting it. She'll be training Jaina on backbar protocols. Her call, not mine. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Outside, a delivery truck pulled up. Olivia glanced at it, then turned back to Hudson. Why'd you stay that day? She asked. You could have dropped the hammer and walked out. Because leaving would have repeated the mistake that led to all of it. He rested his hand on the table. I built distance into the system, policies without presence, expectations without accountability. That's not leadership, that's delegation with blind spots. She blinked, then looked away. You say things like that, and I start wondering why you ever left a chair empty to begin with. I thought staying out of the way was the same thing as trusting people, he said. Turns out it's not. The bell at the door rang as Lacey entered, scarf wrapped tight around her neck. She stomped her boots dry and headed straight for the back. Morning, she said, eyes on the tray. Wait, are those the good ones? Only the good ones, Hudson said. Grab what's yours. She took a cup, then paused. I've been meaning to ask, that Saturday dinner you mentioned, is that still happening this weekend, he said. Private room at the place near the lake, no dress code. Just show up. Even Ruth, she's already RSVP'd. Lacey grinned and disappeared into the back. Hudson turned back to Olivia. You ever think about managing full-time? She raised an eyebrow. You offering? I'm asking if it's something you want. She looked down at her tea. If you'd asked me 6 months ago, I would have said no. But now, I'm not sure, maybe. Then keep doing what you're doing, he said. Don't rush it. Just know the options on the table. She nodded, and he stepped away to start reviewing the supply inventory. By late morning, the floor was in full swing. Hair dryers hummed, soft music played, and the scent of mint conditioner lingered in the air. Hudson moved between stations quietly, observing, not checking up, just watching the rhythm. At Lacey's chair, a teenage boy sat stiffly while she carefully shaped his curls. His mother watched from the waiting area, smiling every time their eyes met. Lacey kept her voice low, guiding him through what she was doing, explaining each step in simple language. When she finished, she handed him a mirror and his eyes lit up. Hudson didn't say anything, just made a note in the staff log. Lacey, excellent client rapport. Consider for mentorship role. Near the front, Ruth was organizing the retail shelf. She'd arranged the products by hair type, not brand, something Cassie never allowed. Clients had started asking more questions since the change. Hudson watched as a woman picked up a bottle, and Ruth quietly walked her through the ingredients, no hard sell, just knowledge. He stepped up beside her. "You designed this," she nodded. "People care more about what works than what's new. Keep it," he said, "and write up a short guide. We'll send it to the other branches." She blinked, surprised. "Seriously, you're the expert." He turned and walked away before she could respond. At noon, a man in his 50s walked in, holding a folded flyer. He wore a pressed shirt, slacks, and an expression that hovered between polite and skeptical. "Walk in," Hudson asked from the counter. "I was told you've got someone good with thinning hair." "Not looking for magic, just honest work." "You're in the right place," Hudson said. "Olivia's open in 15. The man nodded. "I've been to 3 different places. Either they overpromise or push product." "We don't do either," Hudson said. "You'll get what you ask for." The man smiled faintly. "That's all I want." Later, as Hudson cleaned up loose papers near the register, he noticed a folded sheet tucked beneath the keyboard. It was a handwritten note, clearly torn from a personal notebook. He opened it. "To whoever finds this, if you're reading this, it means someone finally saw what was happening. Thank you. I wasn't brave enough to speak up, but I hoped someone else would be. This place deserves better, so do the people in it. Don't let it go back to the way it was." Anonymous, he stared at the paper for a long time. He didn't show it to anyone. He just folded it once, slipped it into his coat pocket, and kept moving. By the end of the day, the floor was cleaner than it had been in months, the appointments were on time, and the client satisfaction score had ticked up again. But what mattered most wasn't the metrics. It was that people had stopped whispering. They weren't afraid to ask questions anymore. They weren't afraid to say no. As he locked up that evening, Hudson stood outside the shop and looked through the glass. The lights were off, but he could still see the outline of each chair, each station, each small piece that made the place work. He thought about his mother. She'd built it with her hands, with hours and sweat and kindness. She never had a business degree or a board of advisors, just a pair of scissors, a rented booth, and a belief that people deserved to feel seen. He hadn't honored that, not at first, but he was now. And he'd make sure that every cut, every rinse, every appointment from here forward would carry that same belief. No shortcuts, no shadows, just honest work.